driving the most challenging. If you have a shit car. So the first period in Caterham, that was for sure the most crappiest, the hardest thing I ever did. It was like, wow.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Track Limits podcast presented by Formula Addict. I am your host Swish. I'm with my co-host Henny. We are currently in Amsterdam, Netherlands, and here with a very, very special guest, a person who has driven in championships from F1 all the way to endurance, Giedo Van Der Garde. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's the other side of Amsterdam, but no, it was like 10 minutes drive with the car, so it's quite easy. And life's good, I have to say.
That's awesome. And right now, are you in an off season? Are you?
No, we are on season actually, because in endurance racing, our actually first race is always in Daytona. Yeah. So we just had Daytona 24 hours.
Yep.
It's one of the toughest races in the season, and normally January was always in the period like you were doing single seaters or Formula One was like a big push to get really fit and get prepared for the season. But I had this already in December, but that was quite tough this year, because you have Christmas, Santa Claus, family. I had another third child was on the way.
But congrats.
Thank you very much. But we are now full in the season. Yeah.
Right. Great. Well, we're going to go through kind of over the next hour and talk a lot about your racing career. I think there's a lot to unpack there. In Q2, obviously just you as a professional, even outside of the track, who you are, how you became who you are. And then finally in Q3, we're going to go through the rapid fire round. Okay. And again, many people say they're prepared for it, but candidly, you just can't prepare for it. So
we put you on the spot.
Well, let's see that.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
I love it.
All right, let's get right into Q1. So in about 30 seconds, tell us a little bit about your career, but maybe some of the accomplishments you're the most proud of as a person.
Wow, I don't really like to talk a lot about myself. I think, I was a young kid. I started in racing and I really liked it. My father pushed me a little bit. He was racing himself when he was younger. But then, once you see that you have kind of talent and you have to go through the system and then you become Dutch champion, European champion, world champion, and then you have an ultimate goal to reach Formula One. And I was lucky to do it for 3 years. One as a racing driver, 2 times as a reserve and test driver. And that I'm still proud of. It was a long journey. It's a hard work. But to be honest, I also learned there's much, much more next to racing. And this is also what I enjoy now.
Fantastic. And what does the day-to-day life for you look like right now?
A lot of things, as an athlete, you're only working on yourself, trying to reach the highest goal. And that was for me, Formula One. And it's like day in, day out, your routine, you train, you sleep, you eat well, you make sure everything goes well. You go to the races, you meet the team, you work as hard as possible. But once I had that and I was like, I'm done with Formula One and I don't want to be the fully professional anymore. I like to also learn new things in life. And I was lucky to have like a small good lesson from my father-in-law. He's like a very big business guy in Holland. And I learned a lot from him. I was like working with him for 3/4 of a year. I was his right hand through every deal, every due diligence, every appointment. I was there with him, and I was like, after that, I really enjoy this as well, doing business. So I started a company in real estate. I started a company in like an investment company. We did some investments in like tech companies, real estate companies, in payment companies, in blockchain companies. So we actually the last few years, I'm actually more a businessman than a race driver, let's say.
Wow,
that's detailed.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And I think what's cool about that is many drivers can't really see past their racing career. And I feel like for you, it's pretty cool that you've been able to push yourself to go and explore a totally new field, a totally different field.
Yeah, but it was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was it tougher than getting to Formula One?
No.
Yeah.
Different kind of toughness. Of course, reaching Formula One was very hard and not easy, but that was like an ultimate goal. And I think, I had a period that you had to leave Formula One and you were not racing for one more year. that was like they call it in Holland the black hole. You know, it's like a trap where you're in that you cannot race, you cannot do anything. You're sitting at home, starting to see the races from TV, and I was like, that period for me was very hard. So I went like a lot of partying, a lot of crazy things I did.
Right.
To find some adrenaline or like a drug or to go out and go crazy. But after half a year, I was like, things are not going well with me, and I reached out for some help.
Nice.
So I really talked with some coachings, and I really learned a lot about that. It's not only a life that matters about racing. There's what I said before. There's so much more: business, family, friends.
Yeah.
And I think that was a very good lesson for me. Of course, I was still 30 on that time, 31. So I had to do something else than racing, and that was going into the business. And so I was lucky to go there early. On a young age, and now the combination is perfect.
Yeah, and taking you back from racing in F1, then you moved into endurance. What was that experience like?
Tough,
yeah.
Especially the first test.
Yeah.
I was quite excited after 1 year not racing anymore to go back in endurance racing. Signed up with a good team, good teammates, and the first test we had to do, we were at 4 guys. And normally when you go to a track, you change at 8:30 and 8:45. You do a small warm up. At 9 o'clock, you're in the car, and you're doing the whole day of testing. So from 9 to 1, you have a lunch break to 2, and then 2 to 5 again in the car. But here, I was like, okay, change at 9 o'clock. I showed the run plan. At the end of the morning, you could do 8 laps. I was like,
like what?
What's going on? 8 laps in the morning. In the afternoon, I could do another 8. I said, why I'm here? I could stay home and I don't know, play on the PlayStation or work. Yeah, but we are here with 4 drivers and everybody needs to jump in and see if the seat is good. End of the morning was finished. 0 laps. So I was waiting until 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I first had my chance to jump in the car.
Damn.
And they gave me 8 plus 8, 16. So 16 laps. So it was okay. But still, I was like, man, this I don't like it. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
But then you go to the first race and then you start to understand how endurance is working and you work with the teammates. First of all, we won the first race at Silverstone. I think that was a very good achievement and a very nice weekend. And then you start to dial into the endurance racing. And nowadays, I love it.
Yeah. Yep. Do you prefer that over F1?
No. No, F1 is still the ultimate thing to do. I mean, the cars are super quick. The whole team's behind you, the way you work, everything is on a super high level. The updates that comes, the technical things behind it, the engineers in the factory. There's so many things to look at just to find even 1/10.
Right.
And that was really, really cool. And also as a driver, you need to perform every single free practice qualifying because your teammate has the same car and you have to beat your teammate, and if you don't beat it, you're under pressure and you have to do well.
And what was that like, differentiating between having a teammate that can be a friend and then also a competitor?
He was not my friend. Although Charles Peak that time is a super cool guy and a very friendly, but once you're in the car, it's your enemy. You have to beat him. And the first part of the season in Formula 1, 2013, I really enjoyed myself because I was in Formula 1 and it was cool, but it went really up and down. Some races were really good, some qualifying were really good, and some qualifying were really bad, and some races were really, really bad. And then on a certain point, the team was like, okay, look, now you have to get on. The second half of the season is coming. You need to be more stable and you need to start kick your teammates' ass.
Yeah.
And somehow, just before the summer stop, that I think was a really good race in Budapest. I had such an amazing race. Then you have a good bus. You go in the summer stop. You chill out for 2 weeks. Enjoy the sun, family. You party a little bit and then come back. I think the second part of the half, I kicked off my teammate, and that was a very strong end of the season, let's say.
And in 2013, you were with Caterham, right? What was that experience like? Tell us a little bit kind of about that team, the culture there,
I remember the first test in Jerez, and it was like after 10 laps, like, this is going to be such a long season because it was just a shit box to drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. It was undrivable. Remember in Barcelona, the second test, it was raining. And I went off twice. My teammate went 3 times off because the car was all over the place.
Wow.
It was not balanced. The front was too strong, the rear was too weak, and then we did some modification, and it was the other way around. So we never could find a good balance until the biggest update, I think in Bahrain somewhere, came. It started to be better, but you know, if you have the start a season like this, it's like, you know, it's going to be a long one. You know that you are fighting with the last 2 other drivers. It was Chilton and Jules Bianchi. They were in Marussia at that time, and the rest in front of us was just unreachable. And and of course, we had some ups and downs in the season. But I learned a lot. I think I became a much better driver because you just have a really hard car to drive it. So you have to find the tools yourself to drive around the problem.
Right.
But on the other hand, I really had an enjoyable season. Yeah.
And then in 2015, I just remember like seeing a lot of confusion around what was happening with Sauber in particular, right? Like, and you know, I think this is what we've heard, at least from the outside looking in. There was a seat that was given to you and then was taken back. You know, like, I don't know if that's ever happened. Like, I don't think recently it's happened, but like, do you remember kind of what happened in that situation? And then also, do you think that'll ever happen again? Or do you think teams hopefully have learned from that experience?
I hope no, but it doesn't happen anymore because on that stage, I think for driver and the people around the driver, it's the hardest thing to have. Long story short, story long short, how do you call it? The other way around. But anyway, I started 2014 as a reserve and test driver with Sauber, and we signed actually a deal for 1 year plus another year. But the plus another year should be optioned in July, August, something around there. So I did some Fridays, FP1. I did a test in Bahrain, did another test at Silverstone. I think I did another Friday somewhere else. And the team was really happy. And I was working really hard. I was trying to understand how the team was working. I think the engineering side was very strong. The mechanics were super nice guys. I think the team was sometimes very good, sometimes was not so good. It was a bit up and down, but they had a lot of potential. And I really wanted to come back in 2015. That was my goal. So in July, August, we got a letter. Here's your contract. We signed it. Hopefully you agree the terms as well. And you will be becoming a race driver 2015. So I was really happy. I pushed myself to the ultimate limit to come back in 2015. But then towards the end of the year, we go to Bahrain. Actually, the race before already, they announced, first of all, Ericsson. And then they announced as well Nasser. We were like, what the fuck? What is this?
Yeah.
I went to Monisha Kaltenborn. I said, look, what is this? I have a signed contract. And now you put 2 other drivers in. Yeah, it's a money questions. And money questions. Look, we helped you as well with some money up front. Because on that time, you know, you have to bring a bit of a sponsorship, and that was the way it worked.
Yep.
And now you put 2 other drivers in. This is wrong. Yeah. So then all the shit started with court cases and all these things, and we had like 5 court cases and won all of them. Even went to Melbourne. I was wearing Marcus Ericsson's suit. I was jumping in the car. The team was not able to speak to me. I could only speak to some guys in the engineering because they thought they felt sorry for me. And then on Saturday, or Friday night, actually, we had to decide. Look, yes, I wanted to race. Yes, I wanted to race with Sauber because I felt good there. But on the other hand, somehow the working relationship was so much destroyed that I also didn't trust it anymore, you know, because for example, you have to jump in that car, you have to start racing and something is not right or something's not screwed on well, or they will
you second guess, are they sabotaging you?
Right. So that was like, okay, it doesn't feel right. And on the end there came a deal that they paid me off big time. And that was the end of my Formula 1 career.
And did that leave like a sour taste in your mouth about
Of
Formula
course.
1? Yeah,
Yeah, big
right.
time, big
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Especially when I was flying home on Saturday night, and then I arrived somewhere in Dubai, and the race was just finished, and they finished 5th and 8th. I was like, wow, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that could have been my first Formula 1 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I knew the car, I knew the team, I know how they were working. I know the other two drivers. Yes, of course they're good, but I could have at least done the same job. So it was a very, very tough period, especially when then you're coming home, you have nothing to do.
Right.
You only know that you are a good racing driver. You don't know anything that you are more interested in. So that was how we call it in Dutch, the black hole or
Yeah. And is that the same now that F1 and FIA are introducing questionable policies that are coming out? One being, the one they just introduced with no politics, no religion during race weekends for the drivers. Do you agree with that, or is that something that I think they're pushing a little too hard?
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much, because I think every person can say something, feel something. I think what Lewis did with the Black Lives Matter was very special. I think it was also very nice that Vettel was completely with him. He took the knee straight away the first race they did it. I think that was something very cool to see. I know those guys for many, many years, so I think that was a nice way. I think last year with Ukraine, with the flag that Vettel was driving with it. I think that's just cool that people can show their emotions and feel that they feel something was happening in the world. And now it's not allowed to do it anymore. I think it goes too far. Yes, some things maybe you cannot do, but yes, if something happening in the world, come on, man, we
talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Exactly.
And what was it like driving with Lewis and Vettel?
Nice. I mean, I started to know Lewis when I was 13. And I met Robert Kubica when I was 12. And, I was racing for them many, many years. And Vettel as well. I mean, he just posted a picture, I think 1 or 3 weeks ago. Him in a go-kart, and you saw me behind. It was very cool. It was a good period. It was very relaxed. Go-kart track. You are with them. You play the whole day. Then you go to race each other, and you race hard. And after the race, sometimes one was angry because he lost, and the other one was happy because he won. But then 10 minutes later, you're like, okay, let's play around. You know,
right.
And I think the people who I grew up with, I think it was a very, very strong category of good drivers. And with Lewis, with Vettel, Hülkenberg was there, Grosjean.
Do you guys have like a special group chat that you guys?
We've heard.
Apparently there's a secret.
No. Not. I mean, there's a group chat between all the drivers in Formula One now. I speak to Max quite a lot, and I know Nick de Vries very well. So I know everybody's in the group there. But between me, Lewis, when I see Lewis, it's nice. It's good to see each other, and how's life, how you, how's family, and then it's done. I think with Vettel, I had a very much more closer relationship. I had a nice talk with him in Zandvoort last year. Very humble guy, actually very funny.
Really?
Not a lot of people see that.
Yeah,
very humble and really funny
very
guy.
Soft-spoken,
And we always had because we were teammates in Formula 3, so it was good to catch him up.
And I mean, I would imagine watching 2021 must have been pretty interesting for you, given the fact that you drove with Lewis. You're also Dutch. You clearly have a relationship with Max as well. Like, how was that as a person watching that race? Like, what did you just honestly think about that race?
That last race.
It was just amazing. I think the one of the most nicest final races probably in history. And the two best drivers on the grid fighting each other for a world title. And like that with how many 20 laps to go, we were like, it's over.
It's over.
Turn
off the TV.
He was going to win his 8th title. He's going to be the biggest driver ever. Which was cool to say, when I'm 65 sitting in the bars, I raced Lewis Hamilton. That should have been funny, but I mean, still have one of the greatest together with Schumi. But what happened then on the last few laps with Max, and I know Max for a very long time. I think he was like a baby when I started to meet him.
Wow.
Jos was tuning my go-kart engines when I won the World Championship in 2002. I was sleeping every week in Max's bed. Max was sleeping in Jos's bed. And it was, we were playing PlayStation, going swimming. And we still have a very close relationship. Very funny guy. Super good driver. But then for Holland, this was like a dream come true. Also for the family and of course also for Max.
Yeah.
It was very, very special that he could win that World Championship.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on the edge of our seats.
Yeah.
I just remember. And I think it was 7 a.m., 8 a.m. in the morning
in
Canada. And we were just crazy. But obviously, it had to be a Canadian who crashed.
Exactly.
We were like, why, Nicholas? Why?
We always loved Nicholas.
Yes,
we gave him a little bit of shit last year, in 2022, because he was doing not so well. But to be honest, we will always love him because he gave Max Verstappen and Holland the World Championship.
The World Championship.
He gave him a chance.
And there was an interesting, I don't want to misquote this, that's why I'm reading off this one, but there was a magazine, RTL GP, and I'm curious, A, if you actually said this, and then B, what you meant by this. But I think they asked you a little bit about Hamilton in 2021, and you said, to quote, that he has become a boring guy, and you wanted him to do something crazy. Like, what did you mean by that? Did you say that? Like, just curious a little bit about.
No, I don't think that's the correct words.
Yeah.
Because Lewis, I think, is never boring.
Yeah.
As a race driver, I rate him super high. I think he is probably the best driver I ever raced with. As a human being, super humble, super relaxed. Of course, he changed a little bit during the years, which is normal because the attention he gets, everybody wants something from him, so he needs to take him some time apart and then be only with family and friends, which I understand. But of course, he's been mature over the few years.
Yep.
And when he entered Formula One, I think there's this article, he was spectacular. Movings, overtaking, doing crazy things, hitting somebody.
Yeah.
Of course, when you're getting older, you're not doing those things anymore. I mean, I look to myself. I'm also, when I was younger, I was more crazy than I am now.
Yep.
But this is what probably I meant. I think sometimes, Lewis, you're so good. Show a bit more. Do a big fight. If you're fighting Max, come on, show your nose, or come on, let's go for
more
it.
aggressive.
I think he showed in Brazil in the recent race.
I think he showed that for sure. Yeah. And I think the fight between those two, it's just amazing to see.
So entertaining.
Those are the best drivers at the world at this moment. And to fight them each other on track, you always see there's some tension. They like to win from each other, and this is what I really like to see.
And is there another driver that you think has that it factor that's coming up right now in this F1 grid?
I think,
other than Max, of course.
I think what I've seen from outside, I think two highly rated drivers I like a lot is Lando Norris. I think he's really underrated. What he's been shown the last few years, I think he's very, very good. And I think really also Piastri. But I rate Piastri very high, so it will be very interesting to see how the battle is between
Lando and Oscar.
Exactly, to those guys.
Yep.
And let's see how that plays out. But I think Lando had a very bright future in Formula One.
Do you think Piastri would overcome that pressure?
I hope so, because Piastri, if you look at him, he's very cool.
Yeah.
He's a fighter. I think a very strong personality. He has very good people around him. So he will make life hard for Lando, I'm sure.
Fantastic. Well, final question in Q1. Out of all the motorsports that you've been a part of, where do you find people to be the scrappiest? Like, where do you find, driving to be the most challenging?
For myself?
For yourself.
Driving the most challenging. If you have a shit car. So the first period in Caterham, that was for sure the most scrappiest, the hardest thing I ever did. Was like, wow, this is, because you have so much power. You have the cars are so fast.
Yeah.
And if the things is not under control, you can be the best driver in the world, but you cannot handle the car sometimes, and that was not easy.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps the Q1. Henny, verdict?
Green sector.
Green?
Yeah.
Okay.
Henny's a tough judge. He's a tough judge.
I am.
Good.
Yeah.
But we'll see if we can get a purple in Q2.
I think so.
Perfect.
All right.
That's a wrap for Q1. Welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We're speaking to Giedo. Giedo, green, first sector. You feeling good about Q2?
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel really good.
Okay,
He
here we
wants
go.
that pole. He wants that pole position. Come on.
So let's take you back a little bit. I think you mentioned in Q1 that you obviously got started, in karting at a young age, and you talked a little bit about the influence your father had in helping you out early on. Tell us a little bit about the kind of curiosity around racing, though. Did you always want to be a racer growing up, or was racing a hobby and then you had a bunch of other things you were interested in as well?
Nah, I tried some other sports, football, karate, judo.
Hey, wow.
I ain't messing with you.
No, but it was not my thing.
Okay.
The hockey I was playing, actually, I was quite a good field hockey player.
Okay, good.
And that was together, I think, with skiing, because downhill skiing, I suddenly won a competition because I was just crazy going flat out downhill. Then my father was like, he likes the speed.
Yeah.
So that was a choice between what I really wanted to do. My father, yes, of course, he was racing, but very amateur things in Holland, and then he had no more budget, and he was going over with I started with some business and going well, and then at 9-10 years old, my age, he said, I want to do something with my son. He bought me the go-kart, we started, and then there was like a choice. Okay, look, you want to do some skiing, you want to do some hockey, or you want to race. Well, I, of course, because racing was much quicker, it was fun, it was a competition, I was good at it. Yeah. So we stopped everything and I started full-on racing. And then I think 1 year later, I straight away won the Dutch Championship. So you could see already from a young age that there was something.
Neat. And then you joined the Renault, right? F1 Young Driver
Yeah,
program?
it was actually quite soon. So in 2002, won the World Championship. Jos Verstappen was tuning my engines. I think it was a very strong year. But then you have to make the transition from go-kart to cars. And I won a scholarship in Holland. That scholarship gave me quite some prize money, so I could take that to a team. We were racing in the Netherlands. The first qualifying I did, boom, straight away pole position.
Nice.
The first start I didn't know what to expect. It was P9 at turn 1.
Oh.
Because I was completely useless in starting. It was really bad. Because in go-kart, it was always a flying start. And now you had to use the clutch flat, how much
everything.
you do it, and the team had no budget to do the starts because they said if we burn the clutch, we have no clutch for the rest of the season. So
go easy on it.
Every time the start of good in qualifying, every time the start, I started losing things. So I told the team, look, I'm gonna find a sponsor and I'm gonna do 1 day or 2 days just practicing starts. I found a sponsor, started to do better on the starts, and then could win some races, which was good. But then actually the end of the year, we had 2 European championships, and I joined them in Oschersleben. I did the pole position and the second place. Then in Donington, I did the pole position by 1.1 second in the rain.
Wow.
It was crazy. And I think even Lewis was there.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the race, I won it. But then, 1 week later, suddenly I had a call from Bruno Michel. And Bruno Michel was like the guy who was running the Renault driver development, and he said, we want to have a chat with you. I think you're a good guy, you're a world champion, you showed your first year in racing that you are really, really strong and super quick, so let's go for coffee. So we flew to Switzerland, had a coffee there, they gave us a contract and said wanted to sign me. And I think went home, we checked the contract to the lawyer. Of course, this was not the easiest contract. We said, can we do some changes or modifications? No, that was it. Sign it or leave.
Really? Wow.
But on that stage, because I had my father could not pay it anymore. And we had to go with that program, at least because they was funding all the racing. So there we started with the Renault program.
Wow. And what's that process like for finding sponsors and working with sponsors? I think, a lot of young drivers are coming into this sport and they have no clue. What's that one recommendation you would give them about how to deal with this?
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay.
Hey, I love that.
That's the first straight answer we've gotten.
No, I think nowadays LinkedIn is so strong, and I think the sport in general, the racing has been growing a lot. If you see America now, you see in Canada, Europe, it was already big. Japan is very big. So I think when you have good people around you, good management, and you're really willing to give everything for the sports. And fight hard, do well, because if you're outside the top 10, you better can stop. It has no sense to continue. You need to show that there's something. I think then it's able to find sponsors, to find people around you who can help you. I was lucky that my father-in-law believed in my ability. He was a big business guy, so he helped me with some connections. I could find some sponsorship and could continue from there. Because with Renault, I only stayed there with 1 year and then I stopped because they were not sure if they want to continue and wanted to wait for 2 months. And I could not wait. I was like, no, look. Then we stopped the contract and I'm out. And I went back on my own and actually it went quite well.
And that 1 year at Renault, like what was that like though? Were they helpful? Like what?
Yes, I mean they were very helpful.
Yeah.
I think it was a good program. They were good drivers. If you look through all the drivers they had in their junior program, I think all of them have been very successful. So the talent that they searched was I think the right one and the good people. But sometimes maybe you are too young for that program because the pressure was too much or you're not really ready for it yet. For me, I was a bit in the middle. I was not really enjoyed the training programs because some guys, they were already in Formula 2. I was still in 2 liter on Formula 3. So the level sometimes was a bit strange because their fitness level was higher. My fitness level was a bit lower. And then they put them together. So I think it was a good lessons. I learned a lot. But maybe when I went on my own, I think it was better for me.
And how did you deal with that travel? You know, there's a lot of travel, but there's also your family man. How did you find that balance between that?
It was quite easy for me because you did it already for a young age. You know, when I was 12, we were going already through Europe. When I was 15, I think we did 32 race weekends in a go-kart.
Wow.
So many. So all the time you're away from home. You're living on your toilet bag and a normal bag. And once you start racing, I think the transition from go-kart to racing was really tough. Because in go-kart, every week we were on a go-kart. And suddenly you only have 9 race weekends, 2 race weekends in a weekend. But only nine weekends is nothing. You only have a few test days and that's it. So the rest of the days you have to go to the gym, you have to go cycling, running, swimming, whatsoever, to keep yourself fit and have the momentum. I think that transition for me was not easy. You miss the momentum, you miss the feeling like, oh, I want to jump in and start racing, and it was a bit of a change, let's say.
And then in terms of your I made it moment, like when did you have that? When did you have that moment where you're like, you know what, I've made it?
Or has it even
or
happened?
Has it happened?
Well, I think, you know, when you reach Formula 1, that's the highest level. And of course that's a goal, but then I think you have to set a new goal. And my new goal was to reach points and to be there and to show that I could do the next step, and that should have been then with Sauber, but in the end it didn't happen.
Right.
So I'm not really a person that I'm there, you know, I feel good, I'm ready for it, and I don't know. I didn't probably not have that because the chance was not there, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Is coming back into F1 a goal for you still, or
no, never, never. I mean, the role I have now, I'm one of the main analysts for Viaplay. It's our broadcaster in the Netherlands. I really enjoy that. I enjoy talking about sports, that I know a lot about it. I'm very good contacts with still a lot of people in the paddock in Formula 1. Very good friends with Max. I'm very good friends with Nick because we were racing in endurance together. So that is for me that I really enjoy and like. And of course, next to that, I'm still racing in endurance, which I enjoy a lot. We had some good years. 2 years ago, we were world champion. And that's nice. And it's more than enough. But to go back to Formula 1.
And what would you tell kind of yourself when you were a rookie driver? You know, now that you're a more experienced driver for sure, like what would you have told yourself back in 2013 when you had just joined Formula 1 as a rookie? Like, what would you have told yourself then?
I was already quite late of older. So I think I would have been. It would have been easier to be younger in Formula 1. I think I had some experience already in single seaters and F2 and F3, and that was going really well. But I think the most important thing and lessons what I will tell 10 years from now, or let's say 10 years ago, 2013, that you enjoy it, because that's the most important thing. You work hard. Play hard, relax sometimes, live in the moment and enjoy it, because it goes so fast. You know, a season in Formula 1 is like, okay, I started in Melbourne and I'm so super excited. I was so nervous that I completely missed the start.
Right.
And I had a Japanese engineer, and my ear was broken. And before I was nervous jumping in, I broke the ear, so I was only at one ear on one side.
No.
So I could not really understand him, and I was like, what's going on? What do I do with the start? And he did already so many practices because he was like first Formula One race.
Yeah.
Wow, what's going on? Everybody was already turn one. I was still on the grid. So that was not a good way, but that's what I mean. Enjoy it. Don't be so nervous about things. Have fun out there.
Yeah, and it's you, Max, De Vries. Dutch culture is growing into the F1 grid. What is that thing that makes it different from other cultures? Or, do you guys have that difference where you can say something is there?
It's the
Dutch?
water. It's the Dutch water.
Clearly, it's the water.
I think I just had a discussion also with Tom Blomqvist. You probably know him. He won the 24 Hours Daytona 2 times now. And we talked about go-kart. And when we are young, from an age of 8 until 12, we have mini category. And our mini category is based on a really small engine, but you only can drive with slicks. So if it rains,
wow,
slicks.
Holy crap.
Yes.
So if you look at Max Verstappen, if you look at Nick De Vries, if you look at myself, I think I don't like to talk about a lot about myself, but all the Dutch drivers are always super good in the rain. And then you know what? I think because of that.
Right.
Because in the rain driving slicks, you have to find a different line or a different philosophy, or you play around more with the body weight, or you do different things. But because we were able to do that with a young age, you have a kind of feeling and you have a kind of talent to bring that all the way to Formula One. So every time when it rains, probably you've seen, Max Verstappen, we've seen already that he's super quick
Talking about
in the
Brazil.
rain. Exactly. But also Nick De Vries, I
Yeah.
tell you, if it starts to rain, he will be one of the quickest. And
Wow.
And I think that was something special because Tom said, you're driving in slicks in the rain?
That's insane.
And I said, yes, normal in Holland. I said, no, never. In England and Italy. Well, Italy, they go home because when they start racing, so raining.
Yeah.
So in England, they started to put rain tires on. So you have much more grip.
Remember that karting race we were in? We were at the Goodwood in Ontario. This is very non-comparable,
No.
but we were doing a go-karting league and it started raining. Everybody was losing control.
Oh yeah, I was spinning it in the same spot. Like I wasn't moving. I was like, I give up.
And we were like, okay, like let's cancel the race. Like we don't want to do this. This is ridiculous. But that is crazy having to drive in this with slicks on.
It's very hard.
Is it still a rule right now?
It's still a rule, and I think that's the best rule that Holland has because it's an ability you get. Of course, you need to have the talent and you need to have the luck to get there. And of course, you need to have good people, but. It's a long journey to Formula One. It's not easy, but I think it's also the culture we have now. Because when I was young, I had Jos Verstappen, the father of Max. He was racing Formula One, so you were like, "Wow, I want to reach that." And you have young people who start go kart, and then you reach the ladder. You go further. You reach Formula One. And then probably when I was Formula One, okay, not so successful. I was driving 15, 13, 12, whatsoever. But I'm sure young kids saw it. It's like, okay, I want to do go-kart.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now with Max and with Nick, it's huge. I think hopefully in 15 or 20 years time, there will be another young kid who's coming from go-karts to Formula One.
Yeah, and to the new fans that are entering the sport, what's that most iconic spot or scene you would tell them about to make them feel like they have to be a fan of the sport now?
Oh. To be in the cockpit?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of special, but from the outside, there's so many nice tracks. There's so many nice things to see. The whole technique behind it. I think the sport is just growing massively. And as a ultra fan, I think the nicest thing, what I would say, is to jump in a cockpit, to sit in the feeling of how things are, how you sit, how you handle the steering wheel, what the position is, why your knees going up and then the feet's going down, and then you have only 2 pedals, you have upshift right, downshift left. It's something very special, I think, for fans to be in that car.
Love that. Last few questions in Q2. I mean, walk us through those days where things did not go right. Right. And I think one of the coolest things that I'm taking away from talking to you is that you're quite self-aware. You know,
Yes.
you're incredibly humble, by the way, but you're also very self-aware of here are my strengths, here are my weaknesses, and you're very honest with yourself about that. How did you bounce back from those moments of failure, those moments where you felt like you let the team down maybe? Like, how did you bounce back and kind of get yourself back up into good spirits?
It's a good question, but I think it's the fighting spirit that you have and the ultimate goal that you need to have. I think if you want to reach something, you need to have failures. You need to make mistakes. You need to have bad results to really grow as a driver, but also as a human being. And I think every time when you fall down, you have to stand up. And I think those are the biggest lessons in life. And yes, I fall down a lot. And yes, I had a lot of shit with Sauber, and that was a very tough period. And I fell down really, really hard, but I stood up and said, look, enjoy life, because before you know, it's over.
Yeah.
And the good thing in life is, I think that's one of my things I put in the toilet, or every time you pee, and I put a board, I wrote it myself.
Yeah.
A day of not laughing is a day of not living.
Hey.
That's strong.
That's
is
beautiful.
that the piece of advice you would give Danny Rick and Nicholas Latifi, who left the sport?
Yeah, well,
As a
Ricciardo's laughing always.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he doesn't need to have that speech.
Yeah.
Although I think sometimes laughing was for him like, especially last year, you saw him laughing a lot, but I think he had a very, very tough period.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was coping
mentally he
mechanism.
was cracked completely by Norris.
Yep.
So and he's, for me, between us,
Yep.
super good driver.
Yep.
Super humble guy.
Yep.
Incredible, funny, hard worker, but he lost it completely. And the time when he jumped on the horse last year in Austin, remember that?
Yep. Yeah.
That was completely bullshit.
With the hat and the boots.
Yeah.
Stop that.
Yeah.
You know, if you have bad results and doing not so good, stop it. Just go find yourself back, find the inside strength of you, and I'm sure you will come back and even stronger.
And what are you as competitive about? You know, let's say racing is obviously something you love. It's a passion of yours. Are you competitive about anything else to kind of that same level or same degree?
Ask my wife.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, that's when you end.
I think that's cute too.
Yeah. That's a pure purple right there. I have nothing else.
That has to be the best answer I think we've heard on this podcast so far. Great job.
I mean, cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that, sir.
Yeah, but yeah. Can I mean, I'm a long time with her, but she will say always that this guy's so competitive in other things.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that.
Oh.
Well, that's a wrap for Q2. Henny, I don't even know if I have to ask
purple.
you.
No,
Purple.
no context.
Pure purple. Perfect. We'll be back for the rapid fire round with Giedo. All right, welcome back to the Track Limits podcast. We have our final segment, the rapid fire round with Giedo. Giedo, are you ready for this? Are you feeling
Sure,
good?
yeah.
All right, here we
A
go.
little nervous.
Yeah.
I'm not what,
These
know what to
questions?
expect.
I don't know.
First question, keep your answers rapid, full of fire. If you had to choose one track to race on forever, which one would it be?
Spa-Francorchamps.
Let's go.
I'm about to show you a photo. This is a victory that you have done with the European Le Mans. What was going through your mind?
2016.
Ooh. I think Estoril.
Yeah.
We won
Yeah.
just the championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had a very strong race, but I was on the stage. Sorry, this answer will not be short.
Go for it,
No.
go for it.
It was raining, and I was on the podium. I was like, "What the fuck I'm doing here?"
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was not really happy or something.
Yeah.
And on the end, to look at that picture, maybe it was the feeling that time, but it helped me a lot where I'm right now with endurance racing.
Yeah.
And but it was a good race and good championship.
If you had to add a racetrack anywhere in the world, where would you want to race? Anywhere in the world.
Ooh. I raced a lot of countries. So I guess I would go, because I think they're building a new track right now. I think South Africa.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I've never been there racing, so that would be one place to go. Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice. Okay, I need you to pull out your phone
Yeah.
for this one.
Oy.
Who was the last person you texted? You don't have to say what it is, but who?
I texted, huh?
Yeah.
Yves.
Oh,
Yeah, Ife. Perfect.
Let's go.
Ife from Formula Addict, shout out.
Yeah.
What regulation change would you institute if you had to change one part of Formula One? For example, like double points on the last race, that type of thing.
I quite have an interesting thing that teams can choose from. I think there should be 3 aspects to choose. So you either take off the steering power steering, sorry.
Yep.
Or like a tool with tire heaters, or something with the electronics, because the electronics is very powerful these days. You can tune it a lot, and every team should take 2 of them and take 1 out.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah,
I think that should be amazing, because everybody choose their own thing.
Yeah.
Because some drivers are very strong, and they will say, I don't need that power steering, we get on with it. But the other things are very important. And some other teams like, now we have a very weak driver, we take power steering and we take the controls. So I think those 3 aspects, if you throw that in, would be amazing for the sport.
And would that be during every race they change a different strategy, or at the beginning of the season?
It can be maybe every race, like we go
Select
to
a package.
go to Brazil. It's very tough on the steering, because it's the other way around, and we take power steering, we take something controls, we take off.
Nice. Which driver would you trust to drive you blindfolded around a track? They're blindfolded.
Max Verstappen.
Hey. Okay. The greatest driver of all time, in your opinion?
In my period when I was younger, it was for me. I think both were very strong, but it should be Schumacher and Ayrton Senna.
Iconic.
But I have to guess you have to choose one, no?
You have to choose one.
Come on.
I think say Schumacher.
Schumacher. Okay.
Next one would be most underrated driver of all time.
I think I've raced with a lot of drivers, and some reached Formula One, some didn't. But I think it's a hard one. I found some drivers super quick in junior category, but then they went up higher and they lost the way. Underrated. Tough one, guys, this one.
Maybe Lando.
Yeah, you mentioned him.
You mentioned Lando.
Yeah, but I did not race with him. But from the outside, yes, I think. But anyway, he's already in Formula One and he's a superstar. But for me, he's very, very, probably underrated, yes.
Cool. What car do you drive daily?
And now I have a BMW M4.
Nice.
But I drive this one daily, actually, yeah.
And you get a speeding ticket?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, no, but I actually had 2 on my office right now, so this morning, so I still have to pay them. But.
What's the most over-asked question that you get?
What do you mean with that? It's the awkward question.
Yeah, or something that you constantly get asked.
Get it again and again.
The same question over and over.
In Holland, it's normal, but not really strange or overall questions maybe if you talk about racing, like how is Formula One and how do you work? How does things? That's a thing. But in general life, you meet so many people. It's not really one question that pops out that is awkward or something.
Cool. Would you rather DNF, like not finish on race day, or not make it out of the garage in qualifying?
But it depends what car.
Yeah.
If it was a Caterham, I would
Caterham.
stay probably both times in the garage. no, just kidding. No, then I would pick qualifying.
Okay.
But if it's a really good race car to reach points and to have wins, then for sure, then qualifying would stay.
Scrap that.
Exactly.
Yep. Cool.
Nice. What's one piece of F1 memorabilia you would like to own or currently own?
I still have a lot.
Which one's your favorite?
I think from a crash, from a test, I think the front wing. Still have it, and rear wing I have quite some stuff. I nearly bought my Formula One car from Caterham.
Oh, really?
The guy asked too much money. So.
Yeah. Would you put it like above the dining table?
No.
You want to drive it?
No, my wife will kill me. Even race helmets from the past, if I put it in the office, and it's like one, and then I put another one because I found it somewhere. It's like, what is this doing here? So, why it's nice? No, it's not nice decoration. You put it downstairs in the gym where it belongs.
All right. There's this idea of paid drivers, right? There's a kind of a big controversy going on right now about them. Good for the sport, bad for the sport, paid drivers, in your opinion?
I think you always keep them.
Yeah.
And I think you need them as well. Only if the guys are coming who bring some money, they need to be good.
Yep.
If you're shit and you're not good enough, you never can reach Formula One. So I think it's a common thing. If you look from the past, some drivers like Schumacher or like Alonso, he took Santander. What's the guy who Niki Lauda? He took a sponsorship to Formula One. Of course, they reach out to be one of the best drivers. But I think it's a common thing to bring at least some money.
Yeah. Bring back an F1 team. Lotus, Braun, any of the other ones.
Braun was a very good team, but that's actually now Mercedes. So it's still there.
Yeah.
It would be from a very old, like the 70s or 80s or something. I think the brand Lotus was very nice.
Yeah. Right.
Especially also they were racing also in 2013 with Kimi and Grosjean. Very cool looking cars. So I would say Lotus. Yeah.
Cool. You get back into F1 as a driver. Who do you want as your teammate out of the current grid?
Best driver out there.
Yeah, which is
that's a trap.
I think there are two.
Okay.
So I would choose because they will never do that. Two Dutch drivers in one team. So I would choose Lewis Hamilton.
Cool.
Of course, I raced with him, and he's a very good driver. But I really like to see what he can do with the car and what I can do with the car.
Yeah. Equal machinery.
Yeah, equal machinery.
Yes.
Who would you not want as a teammate?
Lucas Di Grassi?
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Really?
Like out of the current grid, though. Too.
Yeah.
Out the current.
Yeah.
Oi.
Sorry.
I think Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
I would kill me. I mean, we did once a sim race, and we were testing before that. I called him up, said, Max, can you help me out? Yeah, we set up all the things, and then we started driving, and he did a lap time.
Yep.
My lap time. I called him again. I said, did you do that lap time?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I only did 3 laps. So, oh my God. So I was driving around, 8 tenths, 9 tenths, 8 tenths, 7 tenths, slower.
Yeah.
He just killed me, completely killed. I have no chance. This guy is so good.
So good.
So I stopped e-racing or sim racing.
Stopped it altogether.
Not good enough.
Most embarrassing moment you've ever had in a race weekend? Do you remember a moment where you were like, oh my God, that was so embarrassing?
We had dinner.
Yeah.
And there was a lady next to me. And I didn't see her for a long time because she used to be the physio and coach from Kamui Kobayashi.
Okay.
And I saw her, said, hey, how are you? Good to see you. And so I looked at her. I said, how many months you're pregnant? She was like, I'm not pregnant.
Oh.
So really, I tell you, it's the most embarrassing thing ever. Yeah. So I was like, somebody want some coffee? I left and didn't come back.
Did Kobayashi talk to you about it? Or
no, Kamui, he texted me, you idiot. He sent me. So it was. I felt really embarrassed. So every time when I see a lady with like a small belly, I will never ask her if she's pregnant.
Oh my God! If you had one superpower, I can't. If you had one superpower, what would it be? Or if you can have one,
I would try to be Superman.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. It's kind of a superhero that I always liked.
You have a look for it. I think I could see that. Yeah. Clark Kent.
Yeah, they're casting a new
right?
role.
New role?
Wow. I don't know.
What celebrity do you think would be a good fit as a driver in Formula One? Any celebrity, actor, musician, actress, anyone.
What's the guy? What's his name again? From the Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh,
the actor.
Leo
DiCaprio. Yeah, I think he will fit in really well.
Okay.
He's a strong guy. He's fit. He has good looks. Talks well. He's good with the media. I think he will be. If he had the talent as a race driver, I think he would be very good.
Good job.
Nice.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about predictions for this upcoming season. Drivers and constructors. Let's get it. What do you think?
I think Max Verstappen going to win the World Championship again. I think going to be a very close battle with hopefully Lewis. I really hope that Mercedes is finding the way back where they need to be, because I think it's a very strong team and good people around it, and I think Toto is I like him a lot. But then Ferrari, it's not going to be easy, but maybe they find a way in the second part of the season, because I think with Vasseur there, will be very strong. I know him for a long time. He was my team boss also in Formula 3. I think it's the right man for the job. That's more a bit my prediction. Of course, it's a long season. But Max will stand out.
What about constructors? Who do you think will win?
Team-wide.
I would say Mercedes.
Okay. And final question. You're writing an autobiography on your life. Which of these titles best resonates with you? Okay, the Daredevil, the Dreamcatcher, the Free Spirit, the Hardest Worker.
I would change the title, that you don't have it here, but always second.
Hey, in this episode, you have come first by a mile.
No question about it.
We don't even need the ranking anymore. I'm not going to listen to Hedy anymore.
That was a poll and a half.
So to just wrap up here, really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. We ask every guest, tell us a little bit about how you want to be remembered. What sort of legacy do you want to leave behind? It's the final question that we ask every one of our guests.
I think that hopefully people remembers me as a humble guy. Always like to be a little bit funny, but also straightforward, no bullshit. The most important thing is in life that you enjoy it, and this is what I really find. I have a good life. I do a lot of nice things, and do things that you like. That's the most important thing.
Amazing. And where can people find you on social media if they wanted to get connected?
Well, my father wrote my first name wrong, because Giedo is with Guido normally, like Guido in Italy. But my father, I think he was pissed or he has a dyslexia problem. Because he wrote it with Giedo.
We actually struggled.
We actually struggled there too.
Everybody struggles. So I said, look, if we do social media, we do G Van Der Garde, so everybody cannot write my first name wrong. So everywhere it's the same with Twitter and Instagram. So
and LinkedIn potentially.
Yes. And
LinkedIn.
I'm not looking for sponsors anymore.
More friends.
Exactly.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate you guys who tuned into this episode. If you are interested in checking out other episodes, go to tracklimitspod.com, give us a follow on social media, and leave a review on this episode. This was one of the best episodes I think we've had, and we really, really appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, man.